There is a saying in my country that the wise man sees more from the bottom of a well than the stupid does from the top of a mountain. And the tragedy is, when somebody is stupid, you cannot even prove that to him. This is what my passion is, going into stupidities of our culture, of our society, and trying to point them out, to change them. And I'm therefore facing with a lot of opposition and resistance, which starts with myself. If you looked at photos from 1930s, you would see that most people on streets were wearing different kinds of hats on their heads. When you walk around Liepājā or Riga or any other town or New York, you will see that very few people are wearing hats. But you will notice something else. Everybody wears shoes, except for me, of course. I'm one of the rare people from the barefooting community globally who decided not to wear shoes ever. And it comes from my scientific research, where I discovered that shoes are basically nonsense. When people ask me, why are you barefoot? I ask them, please, 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 just tell me, why are you wearing shoes? And they give stupid answers, actually. I'm the only one who studied scientifically the anatomy of foot. I'm walking barefoot 10 years now, and I'm the only one being like this. This tells you about rationality of your decision. But in order to be creative in this kind of way of choosing a different life, I had to follow the inner call of making a change which was so important and so deep. When I was writing my book, I saw that I cannot publish the book with integrity if I don't do what I write in my book. And the title of my book is Human: Instructions for Use. It's basically a manual of how to use your body. And barefooting was one of the topics. And there are many others, I won't bore you with them now. But the main point was that cognitive dissonance, which happens in our brain when we learn something new, was first very strong in me. And I had a choice. I could just make a cosmetic change to change my outfit, to drop something like a hat, or I could go to the essence and really understand why I'm changing and what this change brings to me. So when I followed this call, being aware of myself and of the world I'm living in, of the context that I'm a part of, I had to cross this threshold, this boundary of doing something really, really different, because I knew what I was talking about. And you know what happened? People believed me because it made more sense than what the world was telling. And this is what happens to every big person that you've met. They made more sense than what the other people were saying. And every big change began with a minority of one. Every big change began with a minority of one. Somebody was telling something different than everybody else. But it made more sense. This photo is from the cleanup that we made in Slovenia. And I, as a barefooter, coming from a totally different world, living in a caravan in the forest, nobody believed me initially. Nobody believed me that I could get a bunch of people coming together and cleaning the world, or at least my country initially. I was standing there just with a towel around my loin and barefoot and talking about this big vision. We are going to have a different world. So initially I faced a lot of failure. I mean, I don't call it failure anymore, I just call it excitement. My favorite saying is, one of my favorite, I have a whole batch of them here somewhere in my brain. It also increases my creativity. So one of my favorite sayings is, adventure is just inconvenience rightly perceived, while inconvenience is just adventure wrongly perceived. So if something happens to you and you're feeling inconvenience, just say to yourself, wow, it's just an adventure. That's how I see my life now. And it became very deeply ingrained in me. But still, there are parts in life where we have to really go for it. On the first photo, you saw me windsurfing. It's not an easy sport, especially when you go on waves. When you go on waves, you have to wait for the wave to catch you, you have to be really fast, and then you have to wait for the wave to really build up, and then when it's just about to break, you have to go down. You have to trust. And there are three things, basically, that you have to do. You have to be aware, you have to see what's happening, you have to know what you're doing, of course. If you don't know what you're doing, you will be crushed and you will be rolled around and so on. And this is what happens to us initially when we're learning. We get crushed a lot by life. If you meet anybody who is successful, you met somebody who's been crushed a lot. You don't just learn from textbooks how to be great. You have to try. And although it's very good to get the dopamine that we heard about from the praise and from people thinking good about you, it's also good to get crushed a lot by life a little bit in order to grow to the potential that you have inside you. And this is what my life was too, being crushed a lot and learning from that. Maybe you noticed, it's being crushed a lot and learning from that. Just being crushed won't help you. You have to be open and to gain something from this. Never waste a single moment of suffering. It's bringing you a biggest lesson every time it happens. And then what you need to do from this is to allow yourself to make a story of your life from this. To allow yourself to go back, to exclude yourself from the mission, from the common story that you were a part of, and to understand who you are becoming. You need to go inside yourself, introspect, and then to see what transformed in you and what transformed in your wider environment. Because every story of each individual here is a part of a wider story. There are always other people around you. And anytime I ask you, who are you? Or who are we? All I will get is a story. This is how we construct our identity, through stories. And what you've just seen on these images is a combination of two models which helped me a lot. Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, modified a little bit, and Dragon Dreaming, which is a model of project management, which supports creativity of left and right brain side. And this helped me in my life. As I know, here is a potential of so many thousands of years of experience and knowledge. If we put it all together from all these 1,000 people in this room, we can make wonders. And to change the world, basically all we need to do is to change the story we are telling ourselves about who we are individually and who we are as groups. Changing the story is the most important part of our life's missions. And I will give you another quote which changed my life in this very meaningful sense when I returned from one of my travels where I really allowed myself to be empowered, to believe in myself, to stand in front of other people and tell my story, which is, I'm just a humble person, I'm just a nobody, that's how I see myself. But when I'm invited, I stand for everybody I learn from. And this is, what is the new me is the question which shines in this quote. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about you shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own lights shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you.
Thank you, Nara.